Welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. I do upload on Thursdays, but when you subscribe, you will get an alert that new content is available for your view and my pleasure. So thank you for joining me here. By the way, there's a subscription link. All you got to do is click it with your email on and voila, you subscribe. Welcome back. Today, I'd like to address the topic of harassment in the workplace, namely, but in general, harassment. And we see it in various forms in the media. You know, the whole Me Too movement was about sexual harassment. Donald Trump wanting Mike Pence last year to, claim he won the election and claimed the votes weren't there and all of that. Those are forms of harassment and those are forms of bullyism. I'd like to address just gingerly, not detail, gingerly, the topic of harassment in the workplace. Because when we think of harassment, we almost seem to automatically think of sexual harassment. And there are various forms of harassment, and we tend to seem to, how can I put it? We seem to minimize those that are not sexual harassment. Any form of harassment is harassment, and it's illegal in the workplace. So let's just start there. Forms of harassment, physical harassment, disrespecting, dishonoring, sending discolorful content, discolorful email, racism, advances that are not wanted by someone, even if it is not viewed to you as sexual. It's an advance, it's an unwanted advance. Forms of harassment also include what I call the back burner things that people do, that a leader who should know better does. For example, if you work in a department where overtime is common, and we tell employees all the time, overtime could be stopped at any time, even when it's common. So when a manager cuts down the overtime of a specific person and not others in his work cell or his work group, that is a form of harassment. Don't do that. Right there, don't do that. Because what that does is that imposes on a person's livelihood. When a manager disapproves a person's earned vacation or wants to bypass them under, those are forms of wage harassment. So all of this. And when you have what I call a tapped in HR, human resources, I tell people all the time, you want to call it HR, but it is human resources. We are a resource for the humans there, the personnel to manage that. We are not dedicated to problems. Everybody thinks the HR department is the problem. I can't tell you how many people don't know what else HR does, but that's okay. Next topic. That'll be the next topic. I'll try that. Maybe not, but down the road. I want to stick on harassment. Number one, don't do it. Number one, don't do it. Number two, remember number one. And a lot of times I softly recommend to people, do the things we learned in kindergarten. Say yes, say thank you, wait for your turn, don't touch, don't push, share, yield. I know that adults work in the workplace, and you might see someone you are attracted to. Be careful with your advance. And I'm careful not to say don't date at work. I'm careful not to say that. But if I had my preference, if I had my personal preference, I might say that. And let me tell you why. When there's an issue, and particularly a divorce, It comes to work. I've even seen employees serve other employees at work. Do you know how uncomfortable that is for that person? Yeah, sure, that's why you did it. But I don't let anyone get, or I try to step into it. Anyone get sour or handled by someone, that's disrespectful. Keep your dirt at home. Don't bring it to work. Be professional. Don't serve anybody. Anything that comes to the company that way, I make sure it goes to HR. Don't go to their department. Don't have anyone serve them. All of that is a form of harassment. Overlooking someone who is eligible for pay increase, and you rate them lower than they have performed for all of that. Can we stop? All of those are forms of harassment. And I am asking, and I am hoping that the traits that made you the candidate to be the manager and our leader and our director you are now, the ones that got you there, keep you there. Your judgment, your aptitude, not just your aptitude. And I shall also say this, which really is the compass of my desire to bring the topic of forms of harassment before us. If anyone in leadership, not just HR, but if anyone receives a complaint of harassment and does nothing about it to cut it down at the root and stop it at the root, you are working yourself into being culpable at worst, culpable at best, and complicit at worst. And let me tell you why. It is your role as a leader. And I know managers aren't always leaders, but leaders are definitely managers because they manage well. But to be able to manage the people piece of it, not just your operational piece, not just your department piece. If you work in sales, if you work in marketing, if you work in manufacturing, if you work in deliveries, whatever, not just that piece, but your ability to manage people. If it comes to you and you don't cut it at the root, I guarantee you it will grow back bigger, stronger, and bolder, just like a weed. This is why Harvey Weinstein got out of control. Everybody else who has multiple of various complaints gets out of control. This is why, if it ends up in a lawsuit, in the settlement of the lawsuit is a, oh, don't talk about it, silencer. Well, the silencers need to be removed so people will know what not to do. Just saying. It is your responsibility to hear and not judge, to listen and to learn, to be compliant and not complicit. To me, the worst you could be called in the workplace is complicit. It's, to me, equal to being called a hypocrite in your church or in religion. It's an ugly, because to be called complicit means you knew about it and you had the ability to do something about it but did not. To be complicit, you knew about it, you had the ability, the authority, the aptitude, the accountability, the action, to do something about it, and you did not. In other words, you allowed it. It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing. I look down on that. It's the worst thing. So when an employee comes and brings a complaint, it can't just, not just a little petty thing. I don't like, you know, I didn't like, and she got that project, and I'm not talking about. I'm talking about a legitimate complaint. She got that project, she earned that project, and hopefully you'll get the next one. Would you like to work with her? That kind of thing. I don't nurse things. I have people in my department that will before I get here, but I'm a doctor about it. And here is my prescription for that. Cut it at the source, like cancer, cut it out. It doesn't have to be difficult, but stop it before it spreads. Because that's what any form of harassment is. It will spread. Dirty jokes, off-color jokes, jokes that include race. Be careful with that. It may sound cute with the boys when you're out at 3, but at work, I'm not. All of that. Rolling your eyes at someone, whispering at her, or whispering, all of that. You think it's okay for now until the wrong person is offended by that. So just don't do it. Again, what did we learn in kindergarten? What did we learn with our manners? Did we learn that? So again, keep your hands to yourself. Say thank you. Share. Don't block others. Stand in your lane and all of that. And by God's sake, don't be complicit. And I love you. Bye. Oh, I said I love you, but always say I love you. It's my child. It's my channel. Bye. Bye. Oh, you go, girl. Tell me.